Welcome to the Jet Set Hers podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jamie. We discuss travel, adventure, and everyday life. Listen with us and let's go somewhere.
Hi.
Yo, Jenny, what's up?
Not much. Hi, Leisa.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you. This is our guest this week. She's coming to talk to us about Sedona, Arizona.
Yay.
Jamie, what you drinking today?
I actually have Pumpkinhead Ale from Shipyard Brewing.
Yum.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite fall type beer, pumpkin type beer. It's a brewery out in Maine. I actually have never had anything else by them besides this, but something a little fall. It's gloomy today, rainy, so kind of fit my mood.
That does fit. And that's funny because I'm drinking my favorite fall beer today. I'm drinking Night Owl Pumpkin Ale by Elysian Brewing, and it just tastes like a glass full of fall spice. I love it.
Yeah. What about you, Lisa? What are you drinking?
So it's an IPA from Oak Creek Brewing Company in Sedona.
Keeping it local.
Perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's right up at the top of my list. So yeah, how convenient is that?
We'll definitely have to hear all about that too.
You fit in right with our beer style too, because me and Jenny, when we're not drinking our fall beers, that's what we like to drink is IPAs too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I'm totally into like hazy. The hazier, the better IPAs. That is what we're always in search of.
Wow.
Okay, you'll fit right in.
Yep. Well, cheers, ladies. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So, Lisa, thanks for coming on. Just tell us about yourself.
So I am not from Sedona originally. I was born in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and lived there and grew up and then moved to the mountains. And ever since we moved to Lake Tahoe for about 16 years, we realized early on, thank goodness, at around 30, 33, that we did not want to live in the cities. We wanted to live in beautiful, exotic places as much as possible. And we started creating our life around how could we live in these cool places. So I have a daughter. I've been married to my husband. Just celebrated our 28th wedding anniversary, but we've been together since college. So 33 years together. And we have a 23-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son.
It's beautiful.
That is awesome. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And for my business, I run an internet-based business, and I have done that for the past 6.5 years. And I just finished my first book that was published by St. Martin's Press, which was a really big deal because when I was in college, I had a teacher tell me that I was the worst writer he had ever had in his class, ever. Like, who says that kind of stuff to someone?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing too. Congratulations. What a great accomplishment. Yeah.
It took me a while. Better late than never, but
exactly.
It's very exciting.
And I'm sure it felt good too because you're like, I'm a writer.
I know, published author.
Yeah.
I want to go back and find him and be like, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take that.
Yeah. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So everywhere that you've lived, where's your favorite place?
I would have to say Sedona is my favorite place. It literally feels like home, even though we've only lived there for a little over 4 years. I do like Hawaii a lot too. My dream, we lived in Hawaii for several months in 2015, and we were trying to decide if we were going to move there. So we lived in Maui, Kihei, Maui, and then we lived in Kona on the Big Island. And then we moved to Sedona, and my dream is that we're just going to go back and forth from Maui probably to Sedona. And yeah, that's pretty much as good as it gets.
That does sound pretty amazing. You get the rocks in the mountains, and then you get the island in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Both worlds.
Yeah. I have not been to Hawaii, but Jamie has, so she can relate with that.
Yeah, I actually went to Oahu, not Maui though. So Maui is next on our list when we go.
Yeah.
It's a really, really fun, beautiful, chill place to live or to vacation. You really cannot go wrong. I think the one thing we ran into, though, is my husband is an avid hiker, and there's not a lot of hiking. It's like a lot of the land is owned, by private landowners. So
Right.
that's the one downside. But when you want to be in the ocean, right, or you want to snorkel or swim or just kind of sunbathe, like all of those things, of course, are perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll definitely get along great. I actually moved here recently for the mountains. So like I kind of did what you were saying, like live your life around what you want to do. I lived in
Yeah.
Florida, which Florida does have some great amenities. Like they have amazing springs and swimming and beaches. But I was like, I like hiking, and Florida hiking is flat. It's hot. It's sandy. So here it's like unlimited amount of trails. So that's funny.
That's great. Yeah, I was saying we were looking at Colorado as being one of our next conquests. So we like to build houses and then move to these places and see what's there for us. It's nice. My son will graduate from high school in 3 years. And so by that time we'll have even more freedom. But for now, it's like, we're going to stick in this area.
Yeah. Still explore Sedona a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And Flagstaff. We actually live in both places. So it's about an hour away from each other. Flagstaff is at 8,000 feet. Sedona's at around 4,000, 4,500. And then there's a canyon, Oak Creek Canyon, which is hence the brewery. They're two completely different places that are an hour away from each other. One's in the, kind of, you get snow, and it's a beautiful place to live. But my son needed to go to a bigger high school. And so we came up here from Sedona to allow him to go to high school. And now he's not actually going to the high school. So now we're like, maybe we're just going to go back and be in Sedona full time.
Yeah, because of COVID, man. Ruining everyone's plans.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny when you pull all these things together for your kids, and then it's like, well, that didn't really work out the way we planned.
Man life, So I didn't realize that it was at such high elevation there. So that's pretty interesting. I think we're at about 5,000 here. So
yeah, because you're higher at the base of the big mountains.
Yeah, we're below the foothills. So that's crazy. I'm just so used to Florida where it's 0. So it's cool to see all these places that are higher up.
I did not know Sedona and Flagstaff were only like an hour apart either.
Yeah, it's so weird. So there's the San Francisco peaks in Flagstaff, and the idea was that you could see San Francisco from the top of these peaks. So they just kind of come out of nowhere, but you're already so high at like 7,000 feet. Then you hike up the mountain and you can get to, I don't know how high they go, 12. I mean, it's crazy, but it just comes out of nowhere. It's like living in the mountains versus, Phoenix is only not even 3 hours away, like little over 2 hours away. But you have so many different climate zones in just a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome, though. You can get a little bit of everything all year round almost. So
Yeah. Especially having the luxury to like live more than one place too. That's perfect. Almost.
And like you said, your business is online. So it's not a big deal if you do kind of move around a little.
Yeah, like today I'm in Flagstaff, but the rest of the week will be in Sedona. And I'm so excited because there's just, to me, I think we all have different places that really resonate with us. And Sedona is just that place. Like Flagstaff's cool. It's awesome. It's gorgeous. But I know it's not the same. It's funny that way.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah, so you've obviously moved around quite a bit and been a lot of places, but where's like some of the favorite places you've ever traveled, like where you've been to?
I would have to say that Paris is right there at the top of the list to travel. My son really badly wanted to go to Japan, and I had never been to Japan before, and we had a trip all booked and we were ready to go on March 15th. So sadly,
no.
I was so excited. 2 weeks. I had worked for like a whole year to get his school all arranged so that he could miss, high school, which isn't an easy thing to do. Worked with his counselors, got him a passport. It was all totally arranged. And yeah, we had to cancel it. So next time, maybe we'll be talking about Japan. But this time, I can say that I love Paris. I love London. I love Switzerland. I've been to South America. I've been to Brazil, and it was okay, but not like the European countries. They
Yeah.
definitely capture my heart.
I mean, I haven't been to South America yet, but I'm more driven to go to Europe, I think, than even though it's easier for us to fly to South America sometimes. But yeah, that's amazing. That's so sad about your Japan trip, though.
Yeah, it's so depressing.
My son, he's not like my daughter. Like if I say we're going on a trip, my daughter's got her bags packed in like 10 minutes flat. My son is like, no, that doesn't sound good. I don't want to go there. Like we've been taking him to Hawaii. We spent 2 weeks in Hawaii at Christmas this past year, and he didn't want to go. Like I was like, how can someone not want to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks? This is my kid. So he says, you know what? I think it would be interesting to go to Japan. And this was, quite some more than a year. I mean, I guess, yeah, we planned the trip for about a year. And I kid you not, like the minute he said that he was actually interested in going somewhere, I began to immediately plan the trip because I was not going to let the opportunity pass.
Yeah.
And then to have it not work out, I'm just like, this is not fair. But
it just means whenever you do get there, it'll be even better.
I hope so.
It's just a longer wait. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Anticipation will build up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to Paris too, in London. Love London. It's just, big city, so much history. I didn't expect to love Paris, but I did. We were only there for like 2 days, but just walking around that city, it's just so beautiful. It's like, it was amazing. Like after we left, I was like, wow, like I did not expect to love Paris as much as I do. So,
did you rent bicycles when you were there?
No.
It's a little scary, but I will say that if you're an adventurous person, it is like so much fun because you can get around and see so much more. And especially if the weather is nice, it's pretty awesome.
That was one good thing is like we ended up walking a lot and it wasn't really that far apart between things. It looks like it if you're looking at it on a map, but I feel like once we were actually walking, everything's so pretty that you're like, oh, we're here already. And it wasn't too bad. Their subway was a little hard to figure out, like their metro.
Yeah. It's pretty complicated, I think. Yeah, it scares me a little bit. And I'm a total pro with the underground in London and in New York City. And
same, yeah.
Not with Paris.
And I just felt like it was more crowded. Like they would just cram those full. And I'm just like, this is when you get robbed or someone breaches into your purse. But
oh, yeah, we had that happen one time on a trip. My friend was in front of me going through the stall in the metro, and this guy snuck in between us like really fast, and he didn't think we were together, and he goes to put his hand in her purse, like how you push it behind you as you're sort of going narrow. And I grabbed his hand and like kept him from taking her wallet.
Oh my gosh.
I've never done anything like that. But I was like, no, you can't do that. You're not going to steal her wallet on our vacation. That would really mess it up.
What did he do when you did that? Did he just look at you or did he just walk away?
He just pushed me out of the way and went back into the station because we were kind of midstream. But
good on you for watching out though.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Paris, when my daughter went by herself, or she went with a girlfriend last year, just finished college, and I was like, these are all the different things. Like I gave her 10 different things that she needed to watch out for of all the creative ways that these folks steal stuff. The gypsies are pretty capable in Paris is all I'll say. They know that Americans aren't used to that kind of crime and that we aren't paying attention.
Absolutely. As much as I did love it, that was probably the most sketched out I was on the entire Europe trip I did, because as soon as we got off the metro, we were targeted. Like, we had travel backpacks on. Mm-hmm. So they were instantly like, oh, they're American. And we got followed for a few blocks. And I was just like, so I was very alert everywhere we went there because I was like, I can't let anything happen. But luckily, nothing did. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Definitely.
So I feel like I already know the answer to my next question, but where is your next bucket list destination?
Okay, aside from Japan.
That's what I was expecting.
Right now, well, I'm coming to Colorado, actually. I'm flying to Denver to go to stay at the Boulderado Hotel, Boulderado. I don't even know how to say it, but there's a hotel in Boulder, and I'm going to be on Gaia TV, and they're interviewing me about my book. And so I am really, really excited about that. That is in the middle of October.
That's so cool. I'll keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah. And
you have to let me know when you come.
There's this really cool thing too. I get to have a driver. I've like in my whole entire life, I don't think I've ever had a driver. So he's going to be at the airport. Like,
with
haven't you always wanted someone to just be greeting you with your name on the sign? Like, that is going to be me. I'm going to probably be the dorkiest person being like, oh, wait, can you take our picture? Because I just have to show that my name
definitely do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's totally going to be me.
It's like straight out of a movie. Yeah,
definitely. That's going to be so cool.
Yeah. Have you never been to Colorado?
I've been to Boulder a long time ago. We have friends there, but it's not something I'm really familiar with. And I've definitely not been interviewed for a TV program. So it's all going to be very, very exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah. Definitely let me know. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. All right. Getting back to Sedona. Tell us about your Sedona, what you love about it, how you ended up there.
So I first went to Sedona, I think in 2001, and I did not know anything about it. And I actually arrived in the middle of the night, so I didn't know what it looked like. There's these rocks, red rocks all around, and nobody had told me. And so it was a business meeting, actually. And I woke up the next day, and we had our meetings all day, and people are like, have you looked outside? Have you seen what's going on? I'm like, no, I didn't know. I just didn't know it was a special place. And it wasn't until the business meeting was over and we were driving back that I was like, oh, I wish I had stayed here longer and like gotten out of the hotel room. I had no idea that it literally is like you're dropped into the middle of Yosemite kind of thing, where you have this just jaw-dropping experience when you first arrive, because it's hard to believe that there's a city that's been built inside of something that nowadays would have been a national park. They didn't do it that way. Funny story. When the settlers were coming west, right, a family came, settled in Sedona, and the man of the family his name had already been used for some kind of settlement in Arizona, I think. And it wasn't Arizona yet, but in the territory. And so they couldn't use his name. And he made a rare exception and saying, well, let's name it after my wife, Sedona. So the name came from a woman back in the 1800s, which is kind of cool. Gives me chills, right? And they even have a statue of her, a beautiful woman who made an impact and got this. Her family still lives in the area. And so we decided to come here way back when I mentioned in 2015, we went through a metamorphosis in my family, and I write about this in my book, but we have had really, really great fortune. I made money, very important to me early in life. I came from no money, but what happened was we became self-made millionaires by our mid-30s, and we started to have more choices, and we kind of lived the high life at first. And at some point around 2014, I realized that I didn't want all the stuff. I wanted to sell everything. I wanted to sell our big house. I wanted to get rid of all of our stuff. I just wanted to travel. And it took me a while to convince my husband that that was a good idea, because we had really been in Tahoe, and beautiful place to live for many years, for like 17, 18 years, something like that. And we sold, he went along with it, and we took my daughter off to college. We took my son out of school. That's how we ended up going to Hawaii and living in Hawaii for a bit of time as we figured out where we wanted to go next. And right before we went to Hawaii, my husband and I did this like couple-day getaway, and something about Sedona was calling me already. Like I knew I liked it, and it was the one place we hadn't spent any time in. And so let's go to Sedona right before we go to Hawaii. We went, and while we were there, I think my husband actually started to get the bug too. He was like, this is a pretty cool place. There's so many hiking trails, which he loves to do. And pretty much we actually put an offer in for some property while we were there. And then we headed to Hawaii for several months, and we actually were able to negotiate the deal to buy this property from Hawaii. And so that was the seed that brought it all together. And it has been pretty magical ever since we made that decision.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think what I like about it, I teach a lot about energy and mindfulness and all this kind of metaphysical stuff. And one of the things that Sedona is known for is being a mecca of spiritually minded people coming from all over the world to live amongst these magical red rocks. And it's said to have many vortices. So these are energy centers like Mother Gaia, right? The Mother Earth has portals around the globe. And the idea is that those portals are where you can connect with all the power of Mother Earth and all the celestial energy in one place. So it gets a lot of metaphysical, new age, people on retreats, people wanting to, go inward and get answers to questions that they haven't been able to get on their own. And it's become this spiritual place. What's also interesting is it's got all these people that come for like hardcore mountain biking and hardcore hiking and all kinds of other outdoor activities. And you get this beautiful kind of microcosm of a lot of cool, different, unusual things all coming together to create a very diverse experience for someone who lives there or visits there.
That sounds amazing. And I feel like all the things go together like so well. I mean, anyone that loves to be outdoors and hiking, they're going to love that energy too. Like, that's so cool. Yeah.
And it gets tons of sun in the June, July timeframe, depending on if they have monsoons or not. So if you get monsoons, it cools it down, but it can get hot there, but nothing like Phoenix. So like 100, 104 would be hot in Sedona. This year has been kind of hot, but most of the time it's this incredible in between where you can be in a t-shirt in January or in December, and it's pretty special to be able to enjoy the hiking and enjoy the mountain biking almost all year long. The other cool thing is that you remember I mentioned the San Francisco peaks in Flagstaff. And so you get all the water running off of what we get snow here in Flagstaff. So it runs down and comes into that Oak Creek Canyon. And that was how the canyon was formed, was this water rushing down this super steep, like 4,000 feet elevation in a 20, 30-minute drive. So it's very steep canyon, and it creates this super picturesque like place with all kinds of hiking trails. And the river, I mean, it's not a river, it's a creek. It's a pretty small creek. And sometimes it gets full, in the spring. But most of the time, this creek just kind of comes down and it hits the red rocks. And partway down the canyon is a place called Slide Park. And that is like a natural stone, water slide park where people can go and swim in the pools. And it's pretty cool too.
Have you been there?
Yeah. We've gone in the spring, and my daughter and I were very brave, and we had bathing suits on. I was like, let's do it. Let's get in the water. And I am not a cold water person. And I think the water was like in the 40s, and we jumped in, and it was really funny. We filmed it, and I almost drowned my daughter trying to get out of the river quickly. And then I was like a walrus where the rock was kind of at a weird angle. And I just kept trying to like slap my body up against it so I would move out of the water, as fast as possible. And everyone at the park is watching us just laughing because I did not make that look good.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I'm so glad that you covered that place, because actually I was looking up places before our interview, and I was like, wow, I really hope she talks about that place.
Same. I did see that.
The Slide Park. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds so cool.
It gets crowded. So people line up to get in like super early in the morning because they cap how many cars they let come in, it's not,
Yeah.
and especially in COVID, they're trying to restrict it. But all around the canyon, that's one thing is I think that because a lot of people want to get out of the heat from Phoenix in the summertime, people come, to the canyon because it's shady, it's a lot cooler, but you definitely, the one downside is that there are crowds. And many weeks, even in Sedona, there's a lot of people that come just because everybody wants to enjoy it.
That sounds so cool. I'm definitely putting that on my bucket list.
So what would you have to say would be like one of the best worthwhile destination stops that they have to make if they're, have a 1-day trip coming through Sedona?
So if you have a 1-day trip, I would say going on a pink Jeep tour or one of the Jeep tours would be right up at the top of the list because you can cover a lot of ground and you can see a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And they're really popular. So they're these outdoor Jeeps, right? And they take you on guided trips. One trip in particular that we take people, my husband has a big 4-wheel drive truck, and so he can get us down the road, but you can't take a regular car down the road to get to Devil's Bridge. Devil's Bridge is a long hike and not that great of a hike itself to get there. If you can do it without the pink Jeep, but we're just saying if somebody can splurge, then that would be the place to splurge. And they take you right to the base and then you hike up a really nice, not that hard of a trail. But when you get to the top, you can take these pictures where the rock has fallen away and created this natural bridge. So where you're standing and taking the picture, someone is across the divide and you can't see anything under the person. So it's just this beautiful natural bridge that is gorgeous. And you have the whole big scene of all the red rocks in the back. And so that is definitely on the bucket list. And when people come to visit us, we often take them there in the little bumpy truck that my husband somehow gets us there. Everyone needs a chiropractic adjustment, though, after they go on that trip with my husband, but it's worth it.
Definitely. That sounds great.
Yeah, and that's when you get those like Instagram pictures and everything to post on social media.
Right.
Yeah,
to prove
definitely.
you were there,
Yes, it's a big one. And there's another place that's really special called the Enchantment Resort that's inside of a canyon called Boynton Canyon. And it's just so gorgeous. So you're hiking down past this gorgeous resort, and then it's pretty expensive to stay at. I mean, this is a kind of place where often the rooms are like start at $1,000 a night, just to give you an idea of how expensive it is. That would be where Oprah stays if she comes to Sedona, kind of thing. But you go past the resort and you just walk into this canyon. You're surrounded by these gorgeous swirling red rocks and different like mushrooming out, kind of crazy formations that the rocks make. And that would be another one of my favorite trails.
That's amazing. I love hiking, so I feel like I have to come.
You're going to get in the car and drive here right now.
I actually had a friend that just went like right before COVID in March, right before it. And I can't remember what all she did, but I saw some pictures and she went to a couple really cool galleries, and that really sparked my interest. So
yeah, it's definitely a place that I think people of all ages enjoy because they've got incredible restaurants, great shopping, the hiking, their outdoor, arts and crafts fairs and a lot of that sort of stuff too. So I feel like we get a wide range of people in different ages, or families come and you get for like, let's say Thanksgiving or something, everybody in the family's happy because there's something for everyone to do. And I think that's unusual for a lot of places to offer such variety in such a small place.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did read that like the art scene is huge in Sedona.
Mm-hmm. A lot of artists live there. They have great art shops, art galleries, and then we have all the crystal shops and all the metaphysical stuff where you can get all your supplies, your sage and your card decks and all the crystals you could imagine.
That's cool. I did see a little bit of that driving to Buena Vista that I was telling you about, like a little bit of that vibe. So it'd be cool to see that in like a bigger scale. Because
Yeah.
it's definitely not too huge here, I feel, but you get like little snips of it. It's not the right word, but
Yeah, it's everywhere in Sedona. It's pretty funny.
so talking about food, what are some of the best places to eat?
There's so many. So one of my favorite is called Mariposa. A woman, Chef Leisa, owns several restaurants in Sedona, and the Mariposa is her flagship restaurant. She was on doing the competition with Bobby Flay. I mean, she's very prestigious chef, but Mariposa is South American inspired. And the thing about it is not just the food is amazing, but they are situated in one of the most picturesque places possible and the top of a hill, and the 360-degree views of the Red Rocks are amazing. So that's one of my favorite. Another one is called Elote. And Elote is now in Uptown. So there's several different areas of Sedona, partly because there's all the hills, that it's not just one area. There's Uptown, which has the old shop, like a lot of the shopping and the old downtown. And Elote's in that area. And they are known for their sauces and very Mexican inspired food that is just to die for. Like, I'm always looking for an excuse when people come. I'll be like, okay, and we're going to go out, right? And we get to go to Elote or Mariposa or both. And they're like, okay, whatever you say. So those are two of my favorite, but I would have to say that there's a long list of really good restaurants here.
Yeah. What kind of food would you say Sedona's known for? Do you think Mexican food is like a big one?
I think so. It's interesting because Leisa, one of her restaurants is Italian, another one is pizza. You know, we're probably just like anywhere else where there is in Arizona probably more Mexican restaurants overall than other places, but we've got a lot of other kinds of food too. Steakhouse. There's a place called Cowboy Club downtown or in the Uptown area. And my daughter worked there, and it's been around for a really long time. And it's a steakhouse, and they have really, really great food, burgers, but it's in a cool place too, because you can sit outside and see the Red Rocks. And yeah, that's kind of fun too.
Anything with a view is going to be
Exactly.
good. Yeah.
I think that's it. It's all about the view.
Oh yeah, we have Red Rocks here, but I feel like they're just like, they don't compare to what you're talking about. I feel like it's just like a little preview of probably what you guys have. Because we have like the Red Rocks Amphitheater here.
Yeah, and that is gorgeous. I think the rocks here are just much higher and bigger, and so they are more overwhelming, whereas you in Colorado, you don't see them until you're kind of closer to them.
Yeah.
Whereas you can be far away and see the rocks just because they're so big here.
That's amazing.
I'm planning a trip to Sedona.
Yeah.
Yay. We have two Airbnbs, so they're waiting for you.
Oh yeah, Jamie.
Oh, nice. I do love Airbnbs when I travel, so.
That's so good. You know, in Sedona, there are hotels and they've been adding more of them, but I think that a lot of people really appreciate the ability to have a home where you can cook your meals or part of the time and then go out or what have you. But Airbnbs are a huge business, and it wasn't even allowed until a couple of years ago. And we ended up building a guest house on our house, hoping that we would be able to figure out the Airbnb business. And from day one, it just exploded to the point, you guys, get this, where we live pretty conservatively. And the Airbnb income from this like 586 square foot, it's got its own little kitchen and bathroom, queen bed, and then a sofa bed. It would support us. We could live exclusively just from the income that we make from that one little property.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how popular it is.
I was gonna say, that just shows you how many people are coming to Sedona.
Right. Traveling.
Yeah, because it rents maybe $125 a night or something like that. Not too much. But
I would say that's not even crazy.
No, that's very comparable to lots of pricings that I see on there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But it's always busy. I mean, we got a cancellation today, and literally, I think it took somebody about 20 minutes to rebook in that same spot. So even cancellations don't bother us because it's just a really popular place to visit. Yeah.
You're doing it right then, dang.
I told my husband, I'm like, we could move anywhere in the world, but do not ever ask me to sell our house because it has the guest house. And, you never know what happens in life. But I look at it like, I love that place. It's a beautiful, safe, super, super safe place. Like people don't even lock their doors at night, kind of safe.
Wow.
And the fact that I could, take care of myself financially just by having this little guest house. Like, it's just, there's something to be said for that. It's like ultimate freedom, right?
Yeah. It's like your safety net too, like at the end of the day.
Totally. And
you're giving people the opportunity to come to Sedona affordably and see it. So it's like a win-win.
Totally. And we meet the nicest people. Like we've made several friends as a result of people who have come and we've stayed in touch with them. How fun is that?
That's beautiful. So obviously everything you said is amazing so far, but what would you say is like overrated and not worth seeing or doing?
I think that if you come to Sedona and you hear stories like mine about the vortices, the vortexes, like you go to one of them, there's one near the airport, and you stand there. And if you're not really, really sensitive to energy, there's a really good chance that you're going to be like, that was kind of silly. Like, what did I just do? Like, what am I trying to feel? Yeah. Can I see it? No. Can I feel it? No. So I would say the vortex is probably disappointing to a lot of people. Some people are like, you know what? I don't know what's going on, but I'm super excited to be here. And that's awesome. But I think it could go either way. And I'm just kind of prefacing the fact that you probably won't notice anything different by going to a vortex.
So that's good. So it's not even really a bad, it's just a maybe not for everyone kind of situation.
Yeah. I think that that's safe to say. I would also say that there's only a couple ways in and out of the town. And so it can get really congested with traffic because we get millions and millions of visitors a year. And on the weekends, even like Sunday, we were down there driving around, and sure enough, the traffic was really, really bad. And so that's a bummer for people who aren't really wanting to sit in their car while they're on vacation. So it's better to be out doing something when those busy kind of times. And avoid that.
Try to plan around it.
Mm-hmm. That's smart.
So tell us about some places that you might not find Googling, like things to do, places to eat, things to see, like anything like that maybe aren't as well known.
Perfect. So one restaurant that came to mind that we didn't talk about was Tamaliza's, and it's tucked away kind of near the airport vortex, and they have amazing Mexican food, and they have a couple tables inside. Nothing fancy, but their food is one of those things that the locals all talk about it and get pretty happy. The other is that we talked about Oak Creek Brewing, and I'm guessing your listeners like beer because that comes up a lot, right? So let's talk about beer for a second.
Yes,
there
please.
Is a place called Tlaquepaque, and it's a giant kind of shopping center in the middle of Sedona. And there is a restaurant called Oak Creek Brewing Company, which is great. I mean, they've got great food. They've got the bar. It's all awesome. But the thing that nobody knows is that the real true brewery is a couple blocks away in West Sedona. And you can go in, right there at the brewery. They have snacks and different things, but it's just a super cool vibe. Pretty small. There's an outdoor patio for sitting, or you can be inside. A lot of times they'll have live music. It's not as crowded as the one in Tlaquepaque, but the beer is awesome. And it's just a totally different vibe of relaxation and chilling out. And it's in sort of this commercial industrial, business park. So again, people wouldn't know about it, but if you like that kind of low key thing, that would be a cool way to go. Another place that's fun to hang out for evening. Oh, here's something that I forgot to mention. There's a big joke about like what happens at 9:00 because everyone disappears in Sedona. And I actually don't know where everybody goes. I just know that there's nobody out and that you do not go to Sedona for the nightlife. Not really. But Vino de Sedona, they can keep people out for maybe till 10, maybe even later. And it's a pretty happening place. So that would be a fun place in West Sedona to go and have a glass of wine. And often they have live music. And what's really fun is often people are singing along and it's like the whole group is, having a party together. So that's pretty fun too.
Yeah, that's a good one, what you said about the brewery, because I feel like that's almost like a little, not tourist trap, but, it has the name, so everyone's going to go there, when really, like where the true beer is from, that's going to be the place I want to go. I want to see where it's being made and that more chill vibe, so that's definitely a good recommendation.
Yeah, I love those kind of places. There's another brew pub actually in Uptown, and we've gone there too, and they've got great beer as well. So yeah, for those people who like beer or wine, just don't expect a lot of nightlife. That's just a thing. Just know you're gonna have your nightlife at your Airbnb.
Yeah.
Which sometimes isn't a bad thing either.
Right. Yeah. No Uber. We do have Uber in Sedona. So sometimes I think you're lucky, but you don't have to worry about that. It's funny because our Airbnb is within walking distance to Vino de Sedona and some of the other restaurants. And people will sometimes write to us and say, what are my options? Because if I'm going to drink, I'm not going to drive. And so it's great that we're close enough that people could walk home.
That is great.
We're gonna have to get those listings before we leave today.
Yeah.
But that sounds like my kind of place, because you can go hiking, still go out, have the beers, have the wine, and be in bed early and be rested for the next day.
Any tips or advice for anybody coming to Sedona for the first time? For maybe like me or Jenny, for example?
For this trip I'm planning currently.
Uh-huh.
So a couple things that come up even as you're planning your trip that are good to be thinking about is, first, it is, I think, far easier to have a rental car. They do have shuttles from the Phoenix airport, and a lot of people do those shuttles. But because things are spread out, it definitely pays to have a car if you come to Sedona. So that's one suggestion. Another would be, if you're planning on coming in the bridge seasons, so that would be what would that be? March, April, May, or September, October, November, you're going to want to plan ahead of time because it does get really busy and the prices go up. So if you're planning at least 90 days in advance of those bridge kind of times, you'll probably pay less in your bookings, because I've noticed, as being an Airbnb host, the rates go up the closer you get to those times, because there's just more people looking. So that would be another suggestion. If you like to bike, which is a big thing, definitely renting those like fat tire bikes. There's a few bike shops in Sedona. You don't have to bring a bike with you. That is really good. And I would say on the Pink Jeep or any of the Jeep tours that we talked about, it probably is a good idea to book ahead if you can.
Very good. Awesome. Those are some pretty good tips. I feel like I'm pretty good at booking stuff ahead of time. But September, October is like my usual annual trip time. So I'm glad you said that, so I could try to, maybe plan around that.
Perfect.
I don't like to be around crowds too much, so.
Yeah, then September or March would, those are the lesser of those times. I think the reason they're so popular is the weather is so perfect in that time.
How hot would you say it is, like in the middle of summer? Like too hot, like to do all the hiking?
It depends on if there's monsoons or not, if how hot it gets. So we were busy the whole summer this year, and I think that people were just so fed up with being cooped up that they would come to Sedona. And the way you do it, if you come in the summer, is you just get up early and you get out and you hike, and you're done hiking, right, by 10 or 11. And then you go maybe shopping, or you go to the pool if you stay somewhere that has access to a pool. And then you go back out at 3 or 4, and it's fine. It's not like Phoenix where you don't want to go out at all, which is what happens when it's like 110 or 115. So that's how people do it. But this year we were booked. So people made it work.
I also think COVID had everyone just like, let me get out, let me go in nature, just do something that I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, people wanted out. What a perfect place to go, though.
Yeah, I think that we have been really fortunate. You know, things shut down in the Airbnb for a couple months there, and nobody was traveling at all. And it was like, oh my gosh, is anybody going to come back to Sedona?
Yeah.
And thankfully, as soon as we were able to start booking again, they came back.
Yeah. Is there any like swimming other than the slide park? Is there any like swimming like lakes, or like what would you say is the best like place to go out and get in the water?
Yeah, so all along the canyon, you can park along the highway, and there's plenty of places to go into the creek there. The other option is to go to the different spots along in Sedona. So the creek does kind of wrap all around, and there's a place called Red Rock State Park, and there are swimming holes in that state park that are easy to get to, and I think it's like $5 or $10 to park for the day. So you can go to the river in a lot of different ways. But yeah, you can swim in the river, or you go, to a swimming pool.
That's awesome. That's all I wanted this summer, and I had such a bucket list for Colorado, but unfortunately, like I feel like COVID just kind of like kept me from really knocking everything off of it. But that sounds amazing. So it's not in Sedona, but have you been to Havasupai Falls?
I have not been to Havasupai. Yeah, I haven't been. It's a pretty big undertaking.
I know you have to get on like a wait list too for it.
You order. It's pretty expensive too. Like you're hiking in, 11 miles each way, and with your backpack, or you can pay for like these mules to bring your backpack. But it's pretty spectacular. It's just, I think for a couple people, it'd be like $1,000, to do that trip. So it's all run by the reservation, and they've limited the number of permits, and I would love to do it. The other way is like helicopter. So I'm just waiting for the day that I can have the helicopter bring me to it, and then I'm not hiking 11 miles with a backpack. That's not my idea of fun. There is another place that is also similar, but very, very small in comparison to Havasupai. Oh, well, you also have to, any of these like really picturesque places in Arizona, because of there's not a lot of them, you have to reserve ahead, get a permit, pay for those permits, and then wait for your spot and time.
Yeah. It's on my bucket list, but I read where people are like, it took me a year to get my spot. And I'm just like, I don't have the schedule right now where I can like guarantee time off, at a certain time next year. So that's my hesitation right now. Not necessarily the money, just like that whole reservation system has me kind of like, oh, I'll wait and do a little bit more research on that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I did though. I was like, how close is this to Havasu? I said it wrong. How close is that to Sedona? But I guess it's still pretty far up from where you are.
It's closer to Flagstaff. So you drive probably like 3 hours from here, 2.5, 3 hours from here to the place that you start to hike. So
yeah. That's still not bad though, that you can get all around all these places in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get around. And there's only, there's Phoenix, there's Tucson, there's Flagstaff, Prescott, and Sedona. It's pretty interesting how the state is not compared. I grew up in California, and like it's so big and it's so diverse. It's not quite like that in Arizona.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel here in Colorado. Like you can kind of get everywhere, at least within maybe 3-4 hours tops. Whereas in Florida, you can drive for 10 hours and still be in the state. So Yeah, just to wrap up Sedona, we normally try to look up some fun facts. Fun fact is that Sedona has the only McDonald's with a turquoise arch. And it was because they said the yellow clashed with the red rocks. And I thought that was pretty cool. Makes it very unique.
You see people taking pictures there right next to those teal arches every day.
Yeah.
That is what I was about to say. I bet that's a tourist thing that people
Yeah.
stop and take pictures in front of. So that's funny you said that.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, like, I've talked to people that, like, specifically go to McDonald's everywhere they go just to see how different it is, like, in other countries.
Sure.
And so, I mean, I'm sure people go there just to see that specifically. So,
I mean, I'd probably take a picture in front of it.
Yeah.
Goofball, so.
I mean, turquoise is
I'm
better
not
than
gonna
yellow
front.
anyways. So,
Yeah, I bet it looks pretty sweet.
yeah.
So I had a fun fact actually, but Lisa covered it already when we were talking and when she was talking about the vortex and how it's like had magical powers. So that was really cool that you covered it already. I didn't have to speak on it.
Yeah. It
So
was like the first
that
thing
was
you
really
said.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting when I was doing some research today. So yeah, that was really cool.
It's a great place to take visitors, and we sit and meditate, and I'm like, did anybody feel anything?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, just to see, just to experience. I mean, just to know that it's there. That's just kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would definitely go, but I feel like I would be what you were saying where I'm like, I didn't feel anything. You know, I'd almost be like upset about it. But I would definitely go try to check it out. Cool. Thank you so much for all this information today. Like, I didn't know anything about Sedona before we started this, and now it moved very high up on my bucket list. So me and Jamie will definitely be down there checking it out soon. We'll reach out to you for sure.
That would be awesome. We can go on a hike.
Absolutely. So definitely tell us a little bit more about your stuff going on. Tell us about your book and your podcast and everything else.
Thanks. So the book is called The Mindful Millionaire, and I definitely talk about some of these travel stories in it, but it is written to help people improve their relationship with money. I am all about having come from none of it. I grew up focused on it a lot, and what I realized is that it's really not the meaning of life, that it's great to have it. It's great to have the freedom that comes with it. But there is a whole lot more to life, just like we've been talking about here. And so the book is fun for people who know that they might want more, or they may have plenty and think to themselves, is this all there is? And it's got something for everyone. And my website is wealthclinic.com. And I have a couple podcasts, The Art of Abundance, as well as the Mindful Millionaire podcast. And both of them are really oriented to folks who are just looking for different ways to create the life of their dreams.
It's amazing. I'm definitely going to go check it out.
Thanks.
I gave a follow earlier today. I actually listened to a couple episodes before we started. So
You beat me to it.
Doing my research.
Yay. Thanks.
You know,
Yeah. I think that's amazing. Congratulations. It's such a great accomplishment. Well, thank you again so much for coming on. We had so much fun. We love you. We love Sedona. So we'll definitely have to do this again after your Japan trip for sure.
Definitely.
yes, thank you, Lisa, for coming on today. It was so great to meet you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And just everyone remember, you can find us on Jet Set Hers Pod on Instagram, jetsethers.com, or reach out to us at jetsethers@gmail.com.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.